Good evening, all. So, the conversation today is on um, cultural brain, cultural brainwashing, cultural brainwashing, and it's all part of being conscious, right? The whole conversation on consciousness, and we are talking about cultural brainwashing. So, yesterday we talked about consciousness in terms of what we consume into our body, right? And watching what we consume into our body and not getting carried away by advertising, media, and these things. We want to talk about cultural brainwashing and um, resistance, for want of a better word, when it comes to brainwashing with regard to white brainwashing, black brainwashing, brown brainwashing, Chinese brainwashing, Spanish brainwashing, whatever brainwashing it is, right? Whatever type of cultural brainwashing it is, right? Everyone has a personal story and a personal history, along with a cultural story and a cultural history, right? I repeat that everybody has a cultural story and a cultural history, and everyone has a personal story and a personal history, right? So that is why when we at first glance we shouldn't judge a person to begin with. At first glance, the saying "don't judge a book by its cover" and all that overused statements and whatnot, right? Which is true, right? On the surface, do not judge a book by its cover. Do not judge a person by their initial appearance. All these things, right? So we are talking about resistance when it comes to cultural brainwashing, um, and there are a lot of things in here: culture, ethnicity, religion, all these things to think about, the interplay between all these things to think about, right? So religious brainwashing. So I would have talked about this in bits and pieces before and at length before, right? So just like there has been in the past and continue to be in more subtle ways, this we call whitewashing in terms of historically white skin color and all these things being held at a higher esteem than darker skin color, right? So you have people saying, oh, this baby will be a cute baby because these two people are fair skinned people or something like that, right? And they will make a cute baby, or this person pretty for a dark girl or handsome for a dark guy, right? These kind of statements, people in Trinidad will be very familiar with these things, right? So this is the things we are trying to move away from, right? Move away from these sorts of statements, as in seeing a human as a human, right? Whilst recognizing the stories and the histories that everybody carry, but there's a point when we need to heal from those journeys, right? Heal from our historical journey, heal from our personal journey, right? One of the forms of healing and culture, which forms a part of all our ethnicities, is music, right? Music. So I just want to make the point that not all music is actually frivolous, right? Not all music is frivolous or entertainment or just for the sake of fun. There has been music that has been made and derived, music that has been made and derived out of the essence of healing itself from past traumas, right? Music that has been created, derived, created, right? Created from a particular story, created from a particular history, right? And so that's why not all music, not all forms of music is frivolous or nonsense or trivial, right? There is music that heals, right? And as we go through and progress in our healing journey, you will use certain forms of music. You might create music, you might use particular forms of music from various cultures, right, to heal as part of your healing journey, right? So this is to just reinforce the point that not all music is frivolous. The music is energy. Music is energy, and music can help us heal, or music can bring us down, right? So if you are creating music, the point is to watch what lyrics you use in your content, right? Watch your content. What is my content intended to do, right? What emotions are is my content intended to evoke in people? do I want to evoke these emotions in people? Because music is a form of manipulation also, right? Do I want to evoke these emotions in people? Do I want to do these things? What was the purpose? What's the point behind this song, right? The melody, the beats, right? What, for those of you who are versed in that area, I am not, right? But what is the purpose behind what you are creating, right? So that's the questions you want to ask yourself in terms of creating music in this time, right? So in the past, music would have been derived out of culture, right? And it is to date used as a form of healing along people's healing journey, right? As it has been used in mine, right? So there are certain Sanskrit songs that I would have listened to along my healing journey. Like I said, these days I'm listening to some Quranic recitation. So we want to maintain, right? Because this is part of your healing journey. This is part of our healing journey, right? African drums and so on, right? People in the Shakti temple will be familiar with the tapu drums and all that, right? So at various stages in your healing journey, right? And then there will come a point when you realize there are certain things you can phase out, right? Certain things you can phase out depending on where you are on your journey, right? So it's to recognize what is beneficial in terms of your culture, depending on where you are, what stage you are on your journey, right? And at some point, you will recognize that you can leave out certain aspects, right? Leave out certain aspects and progress, right? Progress on your spiritual journey, progress on your healing journey, right? So all of these things has been and continue to be helpful at different stages in people's journeys, right? So that's just the point I want to make in terms of not being, for want of a better word, whitewashed, right? In terms of this modern culture and all that. And because in this time people want to erase, right? Erase people from history, erase cultures from history. A lot of things is going on right now, right? So your language is important, right? The history you have come from is important, right? The languages that you maintain, right? That you recite, that you chant, right? All of these things are important along your journey, right? So the point is to help you to maintain that once it works for you, right? Once it works along your journey, right? These things, as I said, they are forms of energy healing, energetic healing, right? So to avoid being completely washed up here, right? Washed up here, right? So this is for people who have been through religious programming, right? Religious programming, cultural programming, all these things in various ways, right? In various ways. So that's just a conversation for today, right? Language is a diverse thing. God created us as diverse beings, right? God created us as diverse human beings, right? Diverse human beings. So we want to have a level of respect for people's healing journey, the healing journey of peoples, the first peoples, the cultural people. All of these things are essential in the journey that we take. You can't just take something and impose it on somebody and say, hey, believe that like it was done in the past, right? Just take something, a culture, a religion, throw it on someone or throw it on a group of people and say, hey, this is it, or this is the truth, or this is whatever, right? In terms of culture or religion, right? So us in the Caribbean would understand this, we would recognize this a lot better than people from the rest of the world, right? In the Caribbean we would understand this a lot better than people from other parts of the world because of the history that we share, right? So that's just the point I want to make today. Tomorrow I just want to talk about one more topic, and then I'll take a break and perhaps until further notice come back with future conversations, right? So Take care, everybody. Have a blessed evening.